Yeah, Facebook, please permit me to use this music to entertain my fans. I have no copyright. Thank you.
From the beginning of human history, Carbonic people have persistently used God's name to commit heinous atrocities all over the world. Wars become more bloody where religious sentiments are attached. Enemies see each other as abominable infidels that deserve to die. During the Nigeria-Biafra War, atrocities and war crimes were obviously committed, but the international community failed to identify or recognize the ethnic and religious implications. However, the purpose of this work is neither to apportion blames nor criticize anyone, but to preserve history and to let our younger generations who were not born during the struggle know the kind of songs used to boost the morals of the Biafran soldiers.
Gini kange nyunu, umu Biafra. Gini kange nyunu. Oye wani, nyanya mamiye zuroke. Kanyi mere ndiro, dina magi chuku, jide ha zobo ha ona. Kanyi mere ndiro, dina magi chuku, jide ha zobo ha ona. Ae muna wanenjera, abirego, ifajuna rerani. Ae muna wanenjera, wanaputa nuzore wane. Wanaputa nuzore wane. Gini kange nyunu, umu Biafra. Gini kange nyunu. Oye wani, nyanya mamiye zuroke. Kanyi mere ndiro, dina magi chuku, jide ha zobo ha ona. Kanyi mere ndiro, dina magi chuku, jide ha zobo ha ona. Umokoribe muchikerebe nuna yemeje. Umokoribe muchikerebe nuna yemeje. Beka unu si Biafra. Beka unu neje Biafra yamarapo. Biafra gane bozo gabiri. Biafra gane ndo. Take my boots off when I die. Oh Biafra. Take my clothing to the camp. I didn't lawyer give my gun to someone else to fight for fatherland. Biafra, take my boots off when I die. Ojukubeze na la Biafra. Edere ya na buri. Awolo one ya Yakubu go one. Away Kimeri Biafra win the war. Amodu Kasheli machine, heavy artillery, bomb and fighter. Enye mugo wa wanting to be my boy we know. Enye mugo wa wanting to be. Enye mugo wa wanting to be my boy we know. Enye mugo wa wanting to be. Umu Biafra, Udekwe Kwanaka go what you know. Udekwe Kwanaka go what you know. Ochichi gizira gojuku bia onyeze aya choro chichi go wa ruo mwebi. Ochichi gizira gojuku bia onyeze aya choro chichi go wa ruo mwebi. Abumonya mamiye nemu anyi rapu kwa mu mabaro we mami. Wera wachakeche ya anya we. Omedinyo bakwerieri, Omedinyo bakwerieri. Nigeria. Makagini. Nina Nina Magi Chineke. Nina Magi Chineke. Kere ha. Commando. Butere ya commando. Butere ya commando. Butere ya commando. Igbo beri mana ruo Chineke ntị ọ dị megbo Chukwu chibai. Igbo beri mana ruo Chineke ntị ọ dị megbo Chukwu chibai. Nwoke mara mma chibai, ndị ahụ ọnụ chibai, ọ dị megbo Chukwu chibai.
Most of the Biafra war songs aimed derogative invectives of the Nigerian government of oligarchy, who directed the killing of innocent Biafran women and children by imposing blockade on Biafra. All human contact with the outside world was cut off. Hence, the Nigerian military junta added hunger to the already existing weapons of mass destruction in their arsenal. Neither food nor medicine were allowed into Biafra. Hence, malnutrition begot kwashiorkor, also known as Harrowson's syndrome.
We are Biafrans fighting for our freedom. By the name of Jesus, we shall conquer. Hey, we are Biafrans fighting for our freedom. By the name of Jesus, we shall conquer. Ipob Biafra fighting for our freedom. By the name of Jesus, we shall conquer. We are Biafrans fighting for our freedom. By the name of Jesus, we shall conquer. Imena Ojukwu Imena Ojukwu Imena. Aga mesoro maka ibe mule ambush. Were ezigbo medicine gba ndị iro. Imena Ojukwu Imena. Imena Ojukwu Imena. Imena Ojukwu Imena. Aga mesoro maka ibe mule ambush. Were ezigbo medicine gba ndị iro. Imena Ojukwu Imena. Nkume mbebi ebikwe ka m soro n'ime gị. Nkume mbebi ebikwe ka m soro n'ime gị. Biafra na mara mma kwe ka m soro n'ime gị. Nkume mbebi ebikwe ka m soro n'ime gị. O mere na ọma bụ kpakpọ ma jijiji ọma rụrụ. Nkume mbebi ebikwe ka m soro n'ime gị. Enyi Biafra la la, enyi lele, enyi Biafra la la. Chetekwa n'Ọkigwe sentọkwala Biafra. Chetekwa n'Enugu sentọkwala Biafra. Chetekwa n'Ọnịcha sentọkwala Biafra. Enyi o, enyi o, enyi o, enyi o, enyi lele, enyi o, enyi o, enyi. Onye mbụzọ ga-abụ onye ikpeazụ. Nna Chukwu ekwena. Onye mbụzọ ga-abụ onye ikpeazụ. Nna Chukwu ekwena. Anyị na-aga n'iru. Ịlaghachi azụ n'ọrụ. Anyị na-aga n'iru. Ịlaghachi azụ n'ọrụ. Nna agbalụmo, afụfụ niile tara n'ụwa na-agbalụmo, ndị iro niile gburu n'ụwa na-agbalụmo, afụfụ niile tara n'ụwa na-agbalụmo. My mother don't don't you worry. My father, don't you worry. If I happen to die in the battlefield, never mind, we shall meet again. My mother, don't you worry. My father, don't you worry. If I happen to die in the battlefield, never mind, we shall meet again. Go on and see, Ebenamume Ojuku. Agamaga Kurojuku, Iyoya Pagaro, Ikamuna Muna Mibogi Wemberi. Agamaga Kurojuku, Iyoya Pagaro, Ikamuna Muna Mibogi Wemberi. Ebuje, 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 ebuje. Oya iborokuza ya maiteri kwambo. Oya iborokuza ya maiteri kwambo. Biafra do 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 do. Biafra do 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 do. Nne mamutana mukwamu soja bini moya. Nna mamutana mukwamu soja bini moya. Biafra mutana mukwamu soja bini moya. Agu na nu soja mu iwe iwe. Nne mamutana mukwamu soja bini moya. Nna mamutana mukwamu soja bini moya. Biafra mutana mukwamu soja bini moya. Agu na nu soja mu iwe iwe. Nne mamutana mukwamu soja bini koya. Nna mamutana mukwamu soja bini moya. Biafra mutana mukwamu soja bini moya.
The tendencies of the Fulani Janjaweed. But here we must do so. But first of all, let us pray. And I will pray in the language of heaven, the oldest language on the face of this very earth. Eze onye nwe anyị na Chineke nna nke pụrụ m ihe niile, eze ndị nsọ, onye anyị na-aja mma wee na-eto wee na-agọzi aha nsọ ya mgbe niile, onye ọ bụ naanị ya nwee ike niile, onye sitere n'okwu ọnụ ya sọsọ wee kee ihe niile bụ ihe kere eke n'ụbọchị nke taa, onye ọ bụ naanị ya bụ usuu niile nke ndị agha, Chineke nna nke ụmụ ogbenye, Chineke nna nke ndị Biafra, Chineke nna nke pụrụ m ihe niile, onye anyị na-aja mma, onye ndị mmụọ ozi na-efe, onye mmụọ na-erubere isi, onye mmadụ dabere n'ahụ ya, onye ọ bụ naanị ya ka ndị okenye na-atụ mkpọ ọlaedo na mmasị n'ọdị nsọ. Ndị Igbo otu ga-ebighị ebi n'ihi na eboghị mmadụ eboghị mmụọ, ịbụ Chineke nna. Ọ bụ naanị gị ka anyị na-akpọ, ka anyị enweghị iche ọzọ ewezụga gị. Anyị anaghị efe arụsị. Ọ bụ aha gị ka anyị ji aba mba were n'anya isi. Ihe niile nke anyị bụ n'ụbọchị nke taa bụ site na amara gị, onye nwe anyị na Chineke nna. O nweghị onye ọzọ ewezụga gị Chineke. Anyị wee na-ekele gị na-asị gị biko bịa ọsọ ọsọ na ndị na-abatawa ụmụ gị n'ime, ndị ekworo karịrị akarị n'ime anyị. Nna nke ebere dị ngọzi, were amara gị na ebere gị bịa ka iwe zọpụta ndị gị. Anyị wee na-arịọ gị ka iwe mee ngwa ngwa n'ihe na Fulani abatawo anyị ime. Ma ọsọ ọsọ gị onwe gị bụ eze ebube dị ngọzi ka iwe zọpụta ndị gị. Ndị niile kuniri si na ha bụ ndị iro Biafra, ndị niile ka ha rabụ ndị kuniri wee na-agba anyị mgba, ka ha rabụ ndị pụtara anụ nna nke ebere dị ngọzi si na Biafra agaghị adị, ndị dị etu agaghị adị. Onye nwe m, ihe ga-abụ nke ha. Ọgba aghara ga-anọ n'etiti ụtụtụ ehihie abalị, mkpụrụ obi ha agaghị enwe ezumike. Ị ga-achụghachi ha azụ n'ihere nke onwe ha. Ha niile bụ ndị kuniri wee na-akpagbu Biafra. Onye nwe m na Chineke nna, ị ga-ala ha niile n'iyi n'ihi n'okwu ibu ihe na amen. Anyị wee na-asị ma leta anyị onwe anyị nna nke ebere dị ngọzi, anyị onwe anyị bụ ụmụ gị ndị na-anya isi n'aha nsọ gị, bụ ndị na-emere ọgọ. Onye nwe m, bụ ndị na-achị iru gị mgbe niile, bụ ndị sitere n'aha ha na-abụ ụmụ ha wee na-enye aha nsọ gị otuto. Anyị onwe anyị bụ ndị nwe ezi ịhụnanya ebe nzọpụta gị nakwa. E mere mgbe onye na-asị na nke dị sọ na anyị ga-ebuli aha nsọ gị elu Chineke nke igwe anyị ga-aja gị mma. Onye kere eluigwe n'ụwa anyị ga-akpụ isi ala nye gị. Anyị bụ ụmụ ogbenye onye nwe m. O nweghị ihe ọbụla nke anyị bụ n'iru gị n'ihi na ọ bụ anụkpa ahụ ka anyị bụ ofu ụbọchị anyị ga-anwụ, kama na okwu nsọ gị na-anọgide ma ruo mgbe ebighị ebi. Ihere pụrụ ime mmadụ dị ndụ na nke bere dị ngọzi, kama ị gaghị ekwe ka ihere wee mee okwu nsọ nke gị, n'ihi na ọ bụ okwu ka iji wee kee eluigwe maka elu ụwa. Okwu nke i kwuru, nkwa nke i kwuru anyị, okwu ọgba ndụ nke i kwuru n'isi anyị eze ebube dị ngọzi ga-abịarịrị na mmezu, na Biafra ga-abịarịrị na nke ebere. Ị ga-emere anyị amara gị, n'ihi na ọ bụ naanị gị bụ onye enyemaka, naanị gị bụ onye nzọpụta. Ọ bụ naanị gị ka a na-etu Elohim Adonai El Shaddai, onye dị nsọ ma ruo mgbe ebighị ebi. Nara ekele, otuto, nsọpụrụ, ịja mma site n'ebighị ma ruo n'ebighị ebi ka a na-arịọ gị. Ise ise ise.
Hello, my wonderful people. I'll say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on your time zone. I'll also say good night to some of us. This is Mazi Ezumezu, aka Nwekwensu. Please, as I welcome you, please may you welcome others. It's really important. As I welcome you, please may you welcome others. Today we continue from our previous program yesterday because the network was so bad. Then we could not complete the very important program. Today we shall continue from where we stop, or rather, we will start from the beginning, because this is the history they have taken away from us. But before we go into that, we would like to bring a message from the wise counsel, Barrister Lloyd Marco, he visited our leader today, Mazin Nandekano, in a company with Barrister Nemeka, and he said that Onyendu asked him to make it public that DSS has refused to let his relative to visit him, and also refused the lawyers to take notes of the meeting with Mazin Nandekano. This is a message from our wise counsel, Barrister Lloyd Marco. So, DSS, they know what they are doing. Whatever the attitude today is not a new thing, because all their plans or all their ways is to see us in pain. But guess what? I jump here. Abu ekele nwangu. Abu ekele nwangwele. Ulugo ọtụtọ. Ugo. Ebegolu. Na mgbagbu. So these are the message that from Barrister Lloyd Marco, IPOB Wise Counsel. The message he brought out today when he visited Mazin Nandekano. So we have to go into our main topic. We have to start the video from the Tony, our own brother from Delta State. It's not an Igbo man, but we pray that Chukwu Okike, Tamara, Olise shall bless the man for speaking out the truth. So, Okike shall bless the man for speaking out the truth. And guess what? Another Puchafi marker. Ukwa rogue time order. You cannot cover the truth forever. No, you can't. But we are so glad that they are speaking up. Just because the way we are hitting it, we refuse to let them triumph. We refuse that. Mazin Nandekano said, if you are the only one speaking the truth, stand there and remain there, because the truth shall prevail. And today we are seeing the results. So let's go to the video. If there is a need that I will say something when the video is going, I will gladly do so.
Which we are going to hear from our very wonderful analyst here, Mr. Tony Abolo. So let's begin.
Well, to be honest, sometimes we're telling this story in a very awkward way. And one, because of, again, the benefit of me being a sociologist, and one of those things you learn is the art of reviewing history and looking at how history is interpreted. Now, we sometimes look at proximate causes, but you must go to the very far back, and that is the area people don't always go into. One, go back to the constitutional conferences when Akmaru Bello, Azikiwe, and Awolowo were going to, with their delegation, going back and front, Britain and here. The Clapperton, the Littleton Constitution, everything we can go in between, till we're closer to getting the independence. And of course, came the arguments, because the North was not quite ready for what we were thinking as independence. And so they said they were not ready. And so it was like the Southerners were rushing them. And consequently, they didn't like the way we were posturing. And one important statement which must ring through history, that's when Ahmadu Bello now kind of cautioned Awolowo and Azikiwe. You know, actually what happened was, Azikiwe was telling Ahmadu Bello, can we sink our differences so that we can move forward? Now Ahmadu Bello said, please let us understand our differences. Do you know that statement, pre-1960, is still subsisting till today? And until you get some of these little vignettes, you cannot even interpret what has now led into all this agitation. Exactly. Now, move forward. Came whatever it was, independence, and even before then, there was heckling of, when Ahmadu Bello came to Lagos, he was being heckled in Lagos. That is like, why are you wasting our time? What the heck? And they didn't like it, and the Northerners didn't like it. It produced one of the first riots in the North. So it is not today we started riots, massacre, killing of people. It started way back before 1960. These are the subliminal issues that were not resolved and cleared away. And then you moved into independence. And we only had independence. And remember too, that it was even the effort.
So it's very important that we have to say, interject here. No, if you can hear what Mr. Stoney said, that the riot, the killings, it didn't started in 60s, way back before 60s. In 1945, Igbos were massacred in Jos. 1945, go and check. Also 1948, Igbo were massacred, both in Kano and some part of the north. Before 1960. And there's one interesting thing Mr. Stoney said. He said that Ahmadu Bello told Zik, let us understand ourselves before this independence. Let us understand ourselves. Because Ahmadu Bello will know that 1914 amalgamation, nobody were there. That it was the Westerners' agenda in 1914. Ahmadu Bello said, let us understand ourselves, and Zik don't want, because Zik wants us to flee from the white colonialism. But the key question is there, let us understand ourselves. But Zik refused that and went on for the independent. And that is why Zik gave out his birthright to the Northerners. And that's what's really causing all the problem today. One of the major reasons of what is happening in our land today. Let's continue listen to Mr. Tony. It's very important. Let's continue.
By the North, the NPC, to make an inroad into the Western region. And when there was an issue between Akintola, who was the premier of the Western region, and Awolowo, who was the leader of the party, way back in 1952, there was I think, a conference in Jos. That agitation produced the quakes and quacks that occurred in 1965 towards 1966. And it became a riot of a kind because the two people could not agree. And the Northerners were wanting an inroad into the West, and Akintola seemed to be their point man. And at that time, remember, there were I think they were one of the breaks. So we're now looking at Niger Delta. So there was an effort to come into the Niger Delta using bricks, and there was an effort to use Akintola to also move in. And so that division between Awolowo and Akintola exacerbated the crisis in the West till it became an agitation that produced, call it an insurrection. What you are now even talking about today, we also had it then. And what happened? We had this famous Operation Wetier, when they brought the northern soldiers to come and quell the riot in the West. And remember, as at that time, they were forced to bring one Majek Odumi, who is a medical doctor, who was the administrator of the whole Western region. And because of this Operation Wet Year, when they called them the soldiers, I won't put any tribe to it, when they came, it was such that when you came and you wanted to wage the war, your cloth would not leave your body. That was the Operation Wet Year. It was that bad. And that culminated into all the agitation that brought the bad feelings that eventually resulted in the instability. And when there was going to be this coup, Archbishop Makarios, now late, of Cyprus, he was here. It was the Commonwealth Conference in Lagos. He was trapped during this conference. And he couldn't leave because the coup caught him. Now, we'll go to that coup. The coup occurred as a result of whatever it is. The young boys in the army were not too satisfied about the way the country was going. One of the complaints in that January 15th massacre and broadcast had to do with the 10%ers. That is, all the politicians were taking every contract they gave, they ate 10% out of it. So the language was they were against the 10%ers. They were against. So it's not today so it is not today we started this agitation about the politicians dipping their hands in the public till. It was always there. So they didn't like that. And so when they staged the coup, remember that it was a coup, according to Adegboyega, who was one of the majors, who joined Major Onzogu to stage this coup. Now, the story we heard, because we are not soldiers, but the story we heard, and from that, it was called I've forgotten the title of the book, the Five Majors. That was what Adegboyega wrote. And it was trying to tell the story that it was like a nationalistic movement. Remember that time, because of this fracas between Akintola and Awolowo.
My people, I want you to underline what Mr. Tony said. According to Adegboyega is not an Igbo man. He's from the West. He's a Yoruba man. Adegboyega, according to his book, he said that coup was not an Igbo coup. It's the nationalistic movement. But guess what? Today, people are tagging that coup as an Igbo coup. Today, just because the role British play, they are the first people that target Igbo coup. They target Igbo coup. They use it to massacre our people. Our people were massacred. That's name the tag Igbo coup. But according to one of the majors that organized that coup from the West, Adegboyega, he said it was a nationalistic movement. There's no tribe in it. But today, people are tagging it as a tribal coup. That Igbos are the cause. But may God bless this Mr. Tony for exposing the truth, just because of people like us are persisting. Say no, it was never an Igbo coup. Just because of Ipob Mazi Nnamdi Kanu continues telling us it was not an Igbo coup. Today, Mr. Tony have rise up from fear to tell our people the truth. And we say, Tony, may Chukwu Okike bless you. We need more of you to speak up, so that our brethren in coastal area will rise up. Let's continue.
I was imprisoned. And part of the story is that they wanted Awolowo freed in order to come and take up some role in government. And so that was part of the reason they adduced. Then you had the reason of the 10%ers. But now came the way the coup occurred. Nwafo Orizu, who was the Senate president, was the acting president. Azikiwe took off for whatever reason, whether for health reason or whatever. He was in the Caribbean. And then Nwafo Orizu became the acting president. Then when they staged the coup, the highest person was Agui Ironsi. Now, whether you like it or not, we must go back to the class structure of the 60s. As at that time, it's not what you are now looking at now. The Igbos were more dominant in terms of wealth, in terms of education. Who was the vice chancellor of Ibadan? Professor Kanodike, a historian.
Wow. We believe the Yorubas, the West, they were more educated.
No. Well, they have their own story. But then, Eni Njoku, who was a biologist, was the vice chancellor of Lagos. Right? People like Ike Giani, who was the minister for transport, was an Igbo man. So in terms of structure, then in the army, who were those who were more in the ranking of officers? They were Igbos. So it's in terms of structure, they were already there. And it was this coup that now upturned too many things, no matter how you want to look at your history. Those are...
So, do you hear Mr. Stoney, what you just said? And even the lady was so amazed. The lady that was interviewing him was so amazed where he pronounced that Igbo are in various offices. The first vice chancellor of University of Ibadan was an Igbo man. The lady was so surprised. And the lady said they thought that Yorubas, our brethren, our brothers, Yorubas, our sister and brother Yorubas, went to school than Igbos. And the man said, no. We told you guys that the reason you see that a lot of us are into business today is because of what happened in 1967 to 1970. Because of the outcome of the Civil War, they gave our parents 20 pounds. And we want to survive. And that's what leads to a lot of us into business. And today, we are blessed by it. Today, we control the economy. It's a fact. You can see what is happening in Lagos, demolishing our properties. But I tell them, you see, the outcome of what is happening in Lagos, the outcome will become great to we Igbos. Watch and see, we are blessed people. Others are blessed too. They can see what the man said, that Igbos are educated. And all those offices they hold, we are on merit. All of them were on merit. All of them were on merit. But today, the office all those people are holding today, is it on merit? The answer is no. Let's continue listening to Mr. Tony. It's very important.
Facts of history. Now came the fact that when the coup occurred, our man from the Delta, Kochebo, was killed. Omimi Ejo. Again, he was a man for finance, and of course, he was looked upon as not too clean. Then, of course, Balewa, who was a soft-spoken man, was the prime minister. He was killed. And, of course, either for his softness or colluding. Because it's not today when you want to look at how the Northerners play the game. There was definitely a collusion about power grab in that time. And so he was killed. Ahmadu Bello was killed. And I'm told that it was Nzogu who moved in. And because when Nzogu had finished killing him, in front, I think, of his wife, according to the story, he had to break the glass. Because one of the earliest pictures we saw of Nzogu after the coup was a handband, which showed that he was injured as he broke the glass and jumped down. So, but it was said that by then they had created Midwest. Who was to have been killed here? Osaribe, who was the premier of Midwest. Okpara was the premier of the East. Okpara was not killed. Osaribe not killed. Then, over the months, it became like, was it an Igbo-induced coup? Because who was on top? It's Aguiyi-Ironsi. And it is said that the constitutional lawyer, Professor Nwabueze, was the one who helped to draft the unitary constitution that Aguiyi-Ironsi implemented But the question when you read history, because people sometimes tend to make judgments, was it done in the name of wanting to capture power, or it was to save the country? Because at that time, the country was not united. And remember that we're using the Westminster Constitution, and it was felt as at that time that we're not uniting, and therefore the only way you can harmonize the country into one whole, call it national cohesion, using constitutional method, was to have this constitution, which is called the Unification Decree, promulgated by Agüero. Now it is said that infuriated the Northerners, and the Northerners, after all this killing,
Mr. Tony, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having the courage to come out and tell the world the truth. We want more of Mr. Tony to come out. More of you are out there. Come out and save the land. Just say the truth. Saying the truth alone, he is healing a lot of souls. People like us. Saying the truth alone have done a great thing. People don't know what it meant for someone that is innocent. Then people turn around to castigate that someone that is innocent, label him all kind of lie, propaganda, turn someone that is good, label him to the outside world that is evil. Mr. Tony, may you become my blessing. Tony asks, the destroying of the regional government, was it for Igbo to grab power or not? But the answer is no. He said then there were no peace in the land. There were no peace in the land. And the constitution we are using was Westminster Constitution. That means United Kingdom. The motive of Agüero is to unify the country. That was his motive. There were no secret agenda or to grab power. No. What power did Igbo man want to grab? Agüero is the highest military officer then. There was so many Igbos in military. In every government office, Igbos are there. They were doing fine. In Eastern region, the economy is booming. The fastest growing economy in Africa, also in the world. So what power did the Igbo man want to grab? The answer is no. But the Igbo man wants the land to be at peace. Igbo man want to unify the country. But today, people are turning it around. That Igbo want to grab power. They destroy the regional government. Just because of the good thing and Igbo man want to do. I thank Mr. Tony for standing up for the truth. May you come and bless you, sir. And I will try to get in contact with you. You can see the major reason Agüero destroy the regional government was to unify the land, because there were no peace in the land. But guess what? And also, I am still having that feelings that Britain is behind all those games. British government is behind all those games. They want to grab the land. They want to grab the resources. Let's continue. You understand what I'm saying? Let's continue listening to Mr. Tony.
Thinking or saying that a lot of their top soldiers, people like Pam, one of the top brigadiers of the Northerners, was killed, and some Northern officers. So they now felt this unification, they were not for it. They would rather break off. And the chant then was Araba. Araba means divide. That's the Hausa word for divide. So let's divide, let's divide. That was the cry. Then, so after the killing, then for 2 or 3 days, there was no government in place in Nigeria. January 15, 16, 17 of 1966, there was no government. Remember that they had taken over the commission and handed, that is, Nwafo Orizu formally handed power to Agwe. So the power was with the military. The head of state had been killed, so there was no party in place. The next most senior person was Brigadier Ogundikpe. But when the July thing happened, during that reprisal, when they killed Ironsi, Ogundikpe had to run into a seaboat to go and hide. And remember, as at that time, there was the issue of order and superiority in the army. Never mind what has happened over the years. Over the years, we've destroyed our seniority. So, since Ogundikpe was the man in charge, when they were now looking for who to give direction, people said Ogundikpe. But Ogundikpe was not to be found. Therefore, who will give command? And in the army and the structure then, the most senior man gives command. And of course, as at that time, the Northerners had, after that coup of July, decided that it was Lieutenant Colonel Gowon. And as at that time, what was his age? What was the age of Ojukwu? What was the level of education? Remember that apart from military training and secondary school, that was all that Gowon had. Ojukwu was already a graduate from Oxford, a degree from Oxford. Then he had also gone through Sandhurst, which are some of the elite military schools. He had gone through all that. So Ojukwu insisted, let's take command from the most superior person. So it's like I wouldn't take command from another little boy like myself. So there was, call it an ego and age thing as at that time. So now I'm taking.
I hope you guys are listening. I hope you guys are listening. This is the truth they take away from the school. This is why this is one of the reasons they take history away from the school. This is one of the reasons they take history away from the school. They don't want you to know what? To know the facts, to know the history. But thank God that people are still alive. Thank God that people are rising up, speaking of the truth. Ojukwu said, I cannot take order from you because we are the same. And besides, I went to school more than you. I have undergone so many trainings more than you. Let's take order from our superior, which is Ogundikpe, a Yoruba man. This is the crime of Ojukwu. Ojukwu said, I cannot take order from you. We have a senior officer that we're supposed to take order from, not from you. I cannot take order from you. But guess what? All those things Ojukwu do in the interest of the nation, in the interest of the land, in the interest of the people, it was turned upside down. It was turned 360 degrees to also blackmail Ojukwu. It was turned 360 degrees to also blackmail Ojukwu. That's why I told you guys, you cannot bury the truth forever. Truth lasts test of time. Truth lasts test of time. Let's continue listening to Mr. Tony.
You back into history, because sometimes people look at these things and they rush it, and just once you just dismiss it with a wave, it's either Yoruba, it's either North, is this. There were little things that were happening, and all of this aggravated the situation. So it was in the midst of neither going forward nor coming back, we now decided that they now had to hold, call it the military group, with Adeba Adenka, who was the administrator for Western region. Ojukwu was in the east. Ejo was here in Midwest. Hassan was the military administrator, or, well, military governor, or whatever you want to call him, in the north. They came to Benin City. Benin City became the place that was the part of the history of trying to resolve the crisis of Nigeria in 1966.
Amazing. Benin City, amazing.
And it was, look, they were there for a day or two at nightfall. That's when they held the meeting. Then the meeting, of course, you know how people raised temper, blood had been shed, anger had been in the land, and how do you resolve it? When it couldn't finally be resolved at the meetings in nightfall, they decided, through the instrumentality of General Afrifa, who was the head of state of Ghana. Now he said, you come to Ghana, a neutral place, and let's now all of us discuss. And so they went to Aburi. And so when they went to Aburi for this conference to try and resolve these issues, what now happened? Believe it or not, and what I'm going to say is quite crucial to this storytelling, and which is that the position of Midwest, and Naura was one of those who also brought in an idea. Then Omo Erediawa was a permanent secretary. Then I think he was in the cabinet office. So these are people who also played some roles. Now, the position of Enahoro and the position of Midwest was a confederation. But that was not a position that was quite agreed. But by and large, they wanted to really move towards a confederation where everybody can be by yourself, rather than this close-up that we are in. The unification as a way to modify that unification decree of Aguirre-Ronsi. That was when all this talk about a different kind of constitution. And remember that we're also using the Western model. Because you also have to put it in apropos to when Murtala Mohammed finally came, we now decided that, look, the parliamentary system has failed us. Why don't we now go to a presidential system? This is what led to this presidential system. Not that it just happened from the blues. It was the way we were now running ourselves. But then we're going back again to where we were and headed to Aburi. At that Aburi conference, which occurred maybe for a day or two, everybody agreed on this kind of, call it, loose federation. But there was an agreement, seemingly more tilting towards a confederation. And of all the people who went there, it was Ojukwu who had a secret recorder, which of course we in the media normally use. So he recorded the entire conference deliberations in Aburi. And that by the time they came, and it looks as if the North was now going to lose the power that they have finally gotten through military arms and military force. Apparently, as it was said, the British government or the British High Commissioner advised them. Because the Northerners were more keen on breaking away. They said, no, that will not be in your interest. Stay and hold the power that you've gotten. So when 2-3 days, the decision from Aburi was...
Una hear them? Do you guys understand it? This is the problem. This is where it started. Do you guys understand what Mr. Tony just said? Una leave Mr. Tony. Do you guys understand what Mr. Tony just said? That's why I told you that British, they mastermind all those things. They play the game of a good man. They also play the game of a bad man. The good, the bad, the ugly. They can play all those roles just because the oil. Then the North, even when they went Gabulu, the North insisted they want to break away. The British said, no, don't go. Don't go. You have had the power. Why must you leave? Don't go. Because the North have acquired the power through the guns and bullets. British said, don't go. Guess what? Do you know why Britain asked them not to go? To make sure they use them to dominate the rest of us and for them to have access to the resources. For them to have access to the resources. This is just, that's all. And that is why they also back the Northerners to dip the Quran in the high sea. And today, David Cameron will address Nigeria before international community as Islamic State. But it's not a program for today. It will going to be a different program. Nigeria is officially an Islamic State, documented worldwide since 1980s. I think it will be from Abacha or Babangida. Officially registered, if you don't know. Well, let me not deviate from what I'm saying. You can see, didn't ask them not to go, not to allow. No, you must stay. You must stay. Hold the power. You have acquired the power through the balance of guns and bullets. Don't go. We will give you ideas what to do. Tell me, how did all this become the fault of an Easterners? How this become the fault of an Easterners, fault of Ojukwu? The people will turn these stories upside down to blackmail their brethren, the Easterners. But Mr. Tony, this your interview, you don't know what it means. It have exposed the lies and blackmail against the Easterners, against the Igbos. I said, may Chukwu Okike Abịama bless you, Mr. Tony. Let's continue listening to him.
Not being implemented. What did you expect? So when Ojukwu waited for days for the decision by Gowon to be announced, at least as they had agreed in Aburi, it wasn't coming. Rather, it was go on with one Nigeria. Remember that was an acronym taken from GOWON, go on with one Nigeria. Then the Easterners said, on Aburi, we stand.
We stand.
Can you see the two different positions? Okay. Now, as at that point in time, there was more mayhem. It was bloody. What we're going through now, gorged off from the socket. Women who were pregnant, they ripped them apart and threw them. And to put it in the way they would have said it, call it in the accent, Ga and Meta Ajuku. You can hear it was like, and then they went into the barracks and slaughtered the Igbo officers.
I hope you guys understand what Mr. Tony is saying. And who are those people that we are by? Who are those? Easterners. Who are those that their belly were cut open? The Easterners. Who are those that the eye were gouged out? Easterners. And some people will be blaming Ojukwu for protecting his people. Some people will be some people will be castigating Ojukwu for protecting his people. Some people will be trying to, narrate the story the way it will become against Igbo man. Let's repeat it. What this man said is very important.
Acronym taken from GOWON, go on with one Nigeria. Then the Easterners said, on Aburi, we stand. Can you see the two different positions? Okay. Now, as at that point in time, there was more mayhem. It was bloody. What we're going through now, we went through it in 1966. When Easterners, people's eyes were gouged. The things you're hearing and reading in the papers today, this has been a habit. This has been a habit. They'll get your eyes gouged off from the socket. Women who were pregnant, they ripped them apart and threw them.
Women who
and to put it in the way they would have said it, call it in the accent, Ga and Meta Ajuku. You can hear it was like, and then they went into the barracks and slaughtered the Igbo officers. The ordinary Igbo man, people trek from Kaduna, Zaria, My own sister used to work, she with her husband used to work in Samaru. That was in Zaria. That's part of the University of ABU. They also had to come. There was a total dislocation in the country. People fled from the north and everybody heading to his own place. And the Igbos had no choice. The Igbos didn't have a choice because the insecurity was too high. You could not trust that you'll be safe where you are. And Ojukwu now said, okay, if there's a situation, they now began to make preparation for some kind of warfare.
To fight back.
Whether to fight back or whatever they wanted to do. So they said the views of the elders was that, hold on, people like Azikiwe wanted to mediate, given his position, education, international outreach, former president of Nigeria. But remember, what was the age of Ojukwu? So you see, and remember, when a young man could be angry, could be terribly angry, terribly upset. And besides, when you saw people just dead bodies and injured bodies just brought back on train from the north, and your people were no longer safe, even in Lagos, Ibadan, people were returning. What do you do? So you now come to the fact that the man now said the only way they can safeguard themselves was to have a country of their own. And so they now declared Biafra.
This is so deep. This is really, really deep. Amazing. Wow, this is a part of history I believe very few people know about. Very few, because some of the things you just saying was like, so this whole thing happened like this. Because the story we're hearing is quite different from what you're saying now.
Yes, of course. Yes. We wish. You see, this is where they always say Nigerians should write. We don't write.
So, my people, you can hear what the lady, journalist interviewing him, said. That the story that we are hearing is a different story. That the story that we are hearing is a different story. To blackmail Easterners. That's why I thank Mr. Stoney. He's not an Igbo man, but the spirit of the land lets him wake him up to speak out the truth. To speak out the truth. How will you imagine you see your people loaded, full bag of bodies loaded in a train and shipped to their land? Some of their heads were chopped off. Some of their eyes were locked off. Married women, pregnant women were tear apart. How will you feel? Wouldn't you protect your people? Wouldn't you protect your people? And all those things that happened. Then Isaac Dakabolo still have the mind to fight alongside with the Northerners. So that is why this area I am against Isaac Dakabolo. The people who are trying to paint issues. I thank Mr. Tony. Let's continue listening to him. It's very important.
Right. We ought to document this thing either by docudrama, some kind of writing, some memoirs. But just a few people did write. People like Colonel Boulier wrote. Ojukwu wrote a little bit, but he didn't write too deeply. Maybe the pain didn't allow him to write. Then you had people like Rafu Wechwe, who was in the diplomatic corps. He was in France. He also wrote. So, reflections on the Civil War. So there were books. But then you needed more. Then people like Colonel, now Brigadier Alabi Sama, he wrote. So a couple of people wrote. But it's not enough. You needed more stories, more writings, more experiences. More documentation. Because one of those things people always ask, what did we learn and what did we live? Okay, even if you want to ask that question, a very deep-seated question, one of those things today, were it not that some people have brought up the paper and Gowon had even accepted it.
This is what could have been trending in Southeast. But people are leaving the major issue they're supposed to tackle up. Talking nonsense, fighting nonsense. Omenana Christian Omenana. This is what people are supposed to be doing. Using your page, using your space, using whatever you have to speak up. But guess what? You are busy talking about Omenana. You are busy talking about Christian. And who are the Christian? The same people. Who are the Omenana? The same people. That's why I say this akubis akuyam. Because they want to use you. And I actually also. Today's program is not for you. It's not for you. Let me continue before woolly work scatter everywhere.
To become a way out of development of Nigeria in form of industrialization. Remember that during that civil war, they developed what they call Ubunigwe. And Ubunigwe was a massive killer. It was like an IED. You know an IED that destroys when you're in a war front? Right. So the Ubunigwe, when it is placed and you step on it, you are all gone. How did they have their fuel to drive around?
Exactly.
Fine, they were refining crude oil. They were also refining palm oil. What were people eating? Some ate lizard just to survive.
We heard those stories of them eating
because it was true, and but people managed running from here there throughout that 3 years, and of course initially. One of the reasons that made Ojukwu dare the federal government was that when it comes to officer corps, there were more Igbos. When it comes to some ammunition, they had something. And they were hoping that they would get recognition from some countries and that would bring arms. But that didn't quite come because suddenly, either through the instrumentality of the British embassy and so on, they got the Russians. Because the Russians came with their MiG fighters. And a few countries supported the federal government. And so there was this all-out escalated war.
Oh, sir, I want to ask this question. If the Ojukwu had not taken...
Do you guys listen to Mr. Tony? Do you guys listen to what Mr. Tony is saying since? The world fight against us. The world fight against us to exterminate us from the face of the earth. But guess what? Our forefathers, they fought. They fought like a lion. They fought like a Odogu Agowulu without nothing to make sure we arrive today. And this nonsense people, let me just put this up as Britain used Russia and everything and the rest of the world, some of them, to fight against us, to make sure we are wiped out. But your forefathers, they stand to defend the land. And up to this time, what the best you can do is to come on Facebook, on Blue App, eco nonsense, religion, national. This is what your forefathers did and what they passed through. Some eat lizard, all kind of nasty thing they eat to survive, to make sure they keep that land for you to survive. They went into manufacture and everything. But today, what can you manufacture? Today, what can you manufacture? Nothing. V10. Just they want that resources. They don't care if we existed. But their time is coming. Their time is coming. Go and write to this date. Their time is coming. Let's listen to the question the lady want to ask Mr. Tony.
In that step, because it costs lots of destruction. So what other step would he have taken aside and probably thought another way instead of declaring independence for just the Igbos? do you think that was a wise decision he took, or there would have been another way to maneuver the whole thing and settle everything?
A very difficult question. Why I say it's difficult? Sometimes with hindsight, we like to ask questions about what could have been. But it so happened that that was the decision he took. And remember that he wasn't quite all alone. After all, remember that there was Lieutenant Colonel Banjo who joined him, who is a Yoruba man. Because it was Banjo who was asked to come to the Midwest. After he's led the troops here, he shouldn't stop here. He should go straight to Lagos and hold Lagos. That was part of when the Biafrans incursed into Midwest. And then he seemed to have stopped here a little bit. They moved over and stopped at Ore. And that wasn't the instruction. The instruction was go and hold Lagos, so that would now give us some, just like what you had with that Okaku, when you had places excised. That is, you take the south and then you now use it as a point of bargaining. But it didn't happen that way. And that was what incensed Ojukwu, to recall Banjo. And no, sadly, Banjo was killed. Sadly. But those are part of the sad stories of the event. Whether there was any other decision he could have taken, you see, because of the insecurity. Because you see, you go fly back and come to today. Why are people talking about secession? Why are people agitated? Because when you now want to say, what could we do in the face of headsmen coming now and wanting to kill you? Okay, what do you do? So it's very fine to sit down, you're comfortable, and say, oh, they could have taken a decision not to break away. They didn't have any. I don't think they had any choice. But
thank you, Mr.
you save your head, because self-defense is primordial. You have to defend yourself, and they wanted to save themselves. Never mind that some of the decisions could have been wrong. Like people would say, okay, you took Rivers, what is now Rivers? You took, that was the whole eastern region. But in order to break them, Gowon moved in and created the 12-state structure. That was to dislocate the power that Biafra had. Because by the time you now freed the river, the people who are now cross river, freed the people who are rivers, people who are now Bayelsa, freed them out. Then, of course, they will agitate for their own freedom. They will not want to be under Biafra.
This is with the plan of Isaac Abolo to create a state, to give them a state and for them to have autonomy. This is what they used to deceive him, Isaac Abolo. At the end of the day, when they use him, what happened? They buy him. Because if you send your brother to the enemy, even the enemy will not trust you. After using Isaac Dakabolo with 1,000 foot soldiers, with help of Nigerian soldiers coming through the Cameroon to slaughter our people, to even buy the chiefs of the Ijos, and some that survived it with an exile. Guess what, my people? After they used him, finish. Guess what? They buy him. They know it's going to be another problem. And since it was by, guess what? Has that name they gave to them, now that are developed today? The answer is no. Let's continue listening. The truth is bitter. The truth is bitter, but we must hear the truth and receive it so that we make an headway. After this program, if there's anyone from our constant brethren that want to a debate, that want to come up to speak, you are welcome. Contact me. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's continue.
So they will now want to align with the federal government. So those were some of the efforts during the war by which this one went here, this one went there. And so the war was waged for 3 sad years. And we were all privy to it. They were passing through here. And the day, for example, the so-called liberated Midwest, led by Ogbemudia, who led the troop, because this is his place. You ought to have seen what happened in the afternoon. They were moving into Benin. Suddenly, school children had to be ferried away from these classrooms. Market women had to, because nobody knew what was going to happen. And throughout 2, 3, 4 days, for example, you've never been to a war front. No, I don't know whether you want to pray for it. But whether you pray for it, you don't pray for it, you see it in the movies. Yeah. We were live hearing, look, gunshot, booms of gun, bombshells, Everything was happening. That is, they were just literally to intimidate and also to awe and to impress. So for a whole night, you'll be hearing gunshots and booms of gun and throughout before they now moved into the east and started, But it was tough because even the Igbos had to resist. They were not going to stay and be killed. They had their people whom they recruited, whom they trained, and who believed that they ought to be free, because you wouldn't like, some of them were bereaved, and so some had pain in their hearts, so they joined. Then there was a rump of the old army who was leading the corps, because they were already trained in the Nigerian Air Force, Nigerian military. People like Conan Wawo, who's of course Delta, but that is now when you say Delta, but it was Midwest. But they were now had to go to the east. There was one other guy, forgotten his name, from Okpanam, who was also in the army. So they were all there. So it was like all the Igbos moved home, and then the other people stayed here, and that's how we all divided. Now, when the war ended, people said, I was going to tell you about the industrialization. What you ought to have, the people who brought paper to go and go.
Mr. Tony, please stop. Let me just say something before you move on. No? Ogbomedia move militarily, fight in favor of Nigeria government. Guess what? Who knows what they promised Ogbomedia then? But let me ask, that middle belt that the Ogbomedia lead Nigerian army to push away Biafran soldiers, his brethren, out. How is it today? Was what they promised him then being implemented today? The answer is no. What was sorry, in case network, Middle belt, for those of you who don't know the state today that make up middle belt, it was Edo and Delta. Now ask, has those two states developed today after 50 years upon the promise they make to Ogbomudia then? Has it developed? No. Rather than they will pump money, and politicians will divide the money, but the people in the land will not see anything good coming out. Divide and rule system. Divide and rule system. Let's continue. The truth that you guys don't want to hear, you will hear it by force. You will hear the truth in the hard way. Thank you, Mr. Tony, for speaking up. If you are an Igbo man, they will say you make all those things up. But I thank God you're not from an Igbo man. You're from Delta. I think from Ulobo side, Ulobo. Let's continue.
Session of the hostilities in January 1970. That look, why don't we buy into this technology of the Igbos? That will hasten the movement of Nigeria. Murtala Muhammad went on to go on to say, that's not on. Will you allow you to arm your enemies? Which had nothing to do with arming them, but giving them the opportunity so that we can now use that knowledge of technology to industrialize Nigeria. That's when Nigeria lost immensely the opportunity to even grow. So we ought to have come out of the war better than we did. After all, how did Japan move? How did Germany move?
Exactly.
Not from the wars, but what happened? We used our war and came down. And after that, there's this.
No, Mr. Tony. Britain will not want that. Britain have something in mind. They want the resources. Britain will never allow that. You can hear what Mr. Tony is saying. They could use the opportunity of what Biafra produced to make the country great, to industrialize Nigeria. But guess what? No, they don't want that. And it was also the same Moneta Mohammed that stayed the queue of against Gowon just because Gowon nominated the man from River State as NNPC group manager, Mr. Udo. Because of nomination of Mr. Udo, and Moneta Mohammed see that man as an Igbo man. That's why he supported the coup against Gowon, and Gowon was overthrown. And they went on creating states just to divide us. And today, all their plan is working. But guess what? It will turn 360 degrees against them. And the time is coming. The time is coming. People will understood that they have been used against their brother. Mr. Tony is opening the eyes of those people in South. Let's continue listening to Mr. Tony.
Untold story and untold policy that the Igbos cannot be accommodated and cannot be trusted. Because they wage war, if you like, against their fatherland. Despite the statement of Gowon at the end of 1970, no victor, no vanquished. Then they created the 3 R's, reconstruction, rehabilitation, and something. Now, those were supposed to bring back the eastern states. Former university lecturer Kwabi Aseka was made the administrator of the East Central State. Now, of course, did it ever happen? Was there enough money sent? Meanwhile, the houses the Igbos had in Port Harcourt especially were seized by people and called abandoned property. You know what it is? A house you built. If you go to here in Benin, if you went down to Second Secular, where you have Fit Motors, that used to be Mogambo Hotel, owned by an Igbo man from Ujoto. You've heard of Niger College in Second Secular. Of course, who built it? An Igbo man. You go to Sapele, not Rita. There are some schools there, even in Sapele, built by Igbos. So they were investing here and there. Is it Uromi? You have to keep going around to know how they had also invested. And all these properties are lost. They have not been brought into the system. And to make it worse, there was this indigenization decree that was passed by Gowon. When the Igbos came, never mind that I hear some of my friends are contending with it. When they came, they said, okay, whatever you have in the bank, take 20 pounds. Whatever you have, take 20 pounds. So today, when you now look at what the Igbos have made of their lives, from getting only 20 pounds in 1970 to the Cubana and the Ezego and all this, then you begin to wonder, how did these people come out from call it almost destruction to come to where they are?
And they're still doing good. I
know. So this was what painfully happened. But they lost so much.
Wow. Chukwu okike abịama ndị bụ na ndị egede ekenengo. Look at this, Mr. Tony. Bless this man. Bless this man. Bless this man. Bless this man n'ụtụtụ ma n'efifie ma n'abalị. Bless this man for speaking the truth. Bless this man for speaking the truth. Look at tears want to run out from my eyes. The man said that Igbo were investing in everywhere. The schools, they are building school. In so-called Midwest, they are building school. In Nilomi, in Sapele. And go and find out. It is truth. And now about the abandoned property in River State. They created all those things just to create enmity among the brothers. And today, what is happening in Lagos? The same thing they applied some years ago. Now they are still using it in another different method. Lagos state government will tell you no. Here is not here supposed to be express, supposed to be here. You don't have to build house. But where are they when they were building the house? They use that point, that excuse to destroy the house of Igbos. No, here there's pipeline under. They use that excuse, destroy the Igbo property. No, yes, here it belongs to federal government, state government. They use it to destroy Igbos, but they were there. They sold this land to Igbos, and after developing, it destroyed and seized the land. The same thing they did during the Civil War. Abandoned property in Iguacha. But you can hear from some of my Ido brother castigating Ojukwu, castigating Igbos. But Igbos were there building, developing their land, building school in their land, building big hotels in their land. Look at what is going on in Lagos State. Look at what is going on in Lagos State. The houses they have destroyed have worth to trillions. But guess what? These are the people they gave 20 pounds. Let's continue. Nobody who first starts, they win the race. The end justifies the means. Let's continue.
And you've now, because of that unwritten policy about accommodating them, about taking whatever they have, about trying to integrate them into the country as one nation. So they feel we're not wanted. And if we're not wanted, so what else? We are not wanted. You can't rise up beyond a point. The most that some of them rose were during, Jonathan, when he had here Jerica, who was the chief of army staff. Now, it's okay, but you needed more people to be placed in some key positions. Yeah, so it was during the Jonathan's time that there seemed to have been some accommodation for the Igbos. But then what has also happened, but we're not going to go into that, so let's stay with the main story. But that's when they were more brought on, like Hejirika became chief of army staff, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, although she's a Bendelite, but married to an Abia man, ended up being the coordinating minister and minister for finance. You had Soludo, who was the governor of the central bank. And of course, believe it or not, wherever they were in place, even Nebo, who was the man for energy, then what was he called? The guy who brought the geothermal company to Aba to light up Aba, Professor Bathanaji. Wherever they have been, they have excelled. So sometimes it's like, we can do it, and why are you not even asking for our assistance? And again, look at it in terms of integration into every place. Wherever they go, no matter where the village is, they will build a little house and a little business. Think of the market of spare parts. Even if you're looking for a spare part in Guzo, or looking for in Nkabi, or you're looking for a spare part in Portiscom, an Igbo man will deliver it. How? Whether it's from Hong Kong or wherever it is, he will finally get it to you. They have a nationwide network when it comes to this. So they have capacity, they have depth, they have funds. And so they are like saying, we can, but nobody's asking us about anything. And all they're asking for is, well, can we be asked to take up some key positions in the country? Maybe in security, maybe in governance, maybe in policy areas, but nobody's asking us. So it means we're not wanted. Okay, so if we're not wanted, it's affecting even in the investment, because this is what really is driving the youth crazy in the East. Their own people painfully have already gone outside to go and invest in different businesses, and so most of them are in Lagos, most of them are in Ibadan. They're not even there in the East. But having said that, if you go to Nnewi, it is said that practically every house you knock has a billionaire. That's how wealthy Nnewi is. Right? Or you talk about Aba being one of the largest markets, or think of their dominance in Port Harcourt. But in the core East, not enough investment by their own people. And they're also looking for federal government investment and looking for some kind of investment that will drive employment. And so the young people are very, I hate to say it, a little bit unskilled, not given enough opportunities. And so what happens? They're agitating. If you don't want us to come into the federation, you don't want us to get even the highest position, for heaven's sake, let us go. And to me, in my mind, it's only fair. You can create a fairness system by which, even if you are picking the main ethnic groups, you've come to Yoruba, you've come to Hausa Fulani, if you are going around, either you take the geopolitical zones and go to the east. What is wrong with that? But you are not even doing that to assuage their feelings and anxiety, because they have to have a sense of belonging. If they're not having a sense of belonging, then for heaven's sake, let's go. So it fits into where Nnamdi Kanu now said, because again, remember that the agitation, Nnamdi Kanu has seen what is now happening in Nigeria. This mayhem brought about by the headsmen, where people are going to take other people's land and drive them out. Look at what happened at somewhere around the Enugu. Look at what has been happening even up to Biafra. I mean, it's unthinkable. But now, Nnamdi Kanu now says, if that is what is going to happen, we'd rather save our head. We're back again to 1966. If you want to kill us, let's save our head. So the situation in 2021 is not different from where we were in 1966-67. For heaven's sake, let us save our head. Now, the man agitates, you say no. Meanwhile, the headsmen are killing people. They are free. You are now, everybody is free. They will hold press conferences. We killed such people. We did this. Oh, you free them. Okay. Then, have they even agitated? Have they carried gun? Have they killed anybody? They haven't. It's only now maybe you're hearing of this mayhem in Imo and so on. But they were not doing that. Then you proscribe the group. The people to proscribe are the headsmen. You don't proscribe them. Rather, you proscribe Ipob. So you now pour petrol into fire, and that gets them more incensed, and they are more agitated. Now, is it not the same thing that has now triggered even the Yorubas, who now say, look at what happened at the Gongo, Ibarakba. You now move over to Yoruba land, and they would have thought that, oh, we the Yorubas are part of you. So what is going on? If it comes to Muslim, we are part of, we are Muslims like you. If you think of us being in government, we are part of you. So what's all this reason of coming with headsmen to be killing us? So Igboho now says, what's going on? We have to free ourselves. So people like Akintoye, Professor Akintoye, and Igboho now says, look, the Yorubas want to be free. So then even the Lower Niger Congress is also agitating that, look, it doesn't matter whether you've reached here and we are not agitating. Whatever it is that you're doing, we want to be free. So consequently, Nnamdi Kanu has opened the eyes of Nigerians against the onslaught of an ethnic group that claims superiority. And so everybody is looking for the real word that was there that nobody says they want to put in the Constitution, the word that the Northerners don't want, or the Fulanis don't want: restructuring. And we have said, restructure. Sit down your own, I sit down my own. What's the problem? I don't want to disturb you. Don't disturb me. What's wrong with that? What is wrong with restructuring the country in such a way that either you are doing it by devolution, whatever you want to do? You say you must dominate me. On what grounds? Am I a slave? For 60 years, we haven't moved. So, Kanu says, restructure. If you restructure, the fight in Igbo land will stop. The fight in Yoruba land will stop. The Lower Niger Congress will stop. The Middle Belt will stop. Because all this amount of killing. And remember, like I was telling you at the very beginning, these killings have been on even prior to 1960. Incidentally, there was Tiv riot. That's a story nobody ever tells. The Tiv riot before, oh gosh, the thieves were waging war against the army. That's what they call thief riots. They were rioting. So it was when there was this war, 67 war, that they recruited some of them into the army. That kind of brought down the agitation in that place.
So what brought about the thief riots?
I can't remember all the story. I can't remember all that was happening, but they were agitating. Maybe.
Let me say something, Mr. Tony. Honestly, I'm going to look for your contacts. And please, if you have contact of this man, please, I need his contact, please. I need his contact. I need to meet this man. I need his contact. Do you hear what he just said? That Mazen Nnamdi Kanu has opened everybody's eye. The reason why I'm talking on media today, being bold enough to talk on media, is because of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. The reason why most of us is talking with boldness on media is because of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. And he said that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu said, let there be the structuring. I want to say it. Okay, the structure. The structuring, people don't want it. And people don't also want us to go. It's impossible. Biafra must go. For those of you that hate Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, hear from what Mr. Tony is saying. Mr. Tony is not an Igbo man. For those of you that say Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is the problem, the Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is the solution. And before I further, I want you to listen to Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. I want you to listen to him. What he said. I want you guys to listen. Hold on. Sorry, it's my network here.
I had a meeting with all the governors of the Southeast. And the day I was having this meeting, this same man who was accosted in Nuremberg was upstairs, listening to our conversation. Some of you don't even know what transpired when I attended that very meeting with the governors. In the company of Professor Ben Wabeze and Evangelist Elliot Uko. They are my witness. They are there. What did I ask for? Do you know what I asked for? Common Second Niger Bridge. To build Onisha Enugu Road. Build Iguacha Enugu Road. To open Warri Seaport. Open Iguacha Seaport. Open Calabar Seaport. Open Calabar Airport. Open, make Enugu more viable. That's all I asked for. And I'll lift election boycott. That's all. I didn't even ask them to give me Biafra. Do you know these people could not take this to Asarok because they were terrified to bring infrastructure, to bring development to their own people? They were frightened of the Fulani he-goat in Asarok, which is, of course, Abakiyari, because then Buhari was there and Jubilee had come in. Now you understand it very clearly. Ask them, did I ask for Biafra to warrant sending the army to come and kill me? I asked for employment opportunities for those who are unemployed, for the teeming graduates we have who cannot find work anywhere. That's what I asked for. They have the papers. Go and ask them. When you met Nnamdi Kanu in Enugu, in Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi's conference room, did he ask for Biafra? The answer is no. I asked for very common. I said, go and bring something for our people. But all they cared about was their family and their clothes. 2,000 naira recharge card on social media. IPOB was busy dying to make your lives better. That's all we have been doing. And today, as I speak, this very night, Enugu Airport will be closed down. Has Modo complained? No. Do you know why? They want us to fly through Lagos, fly through Abuja, and every flight comes in the evening. So you lodge in a hotel. You improve the economy of the West and of the North. But we have no airport anymore. Some of you don't know this. It's all been lost in the hoo-ha about Nuremberg. And it's quite interesting that Nuremberg was where all the evil men were tried under Nazi, or during the Nazi regime after the Second World War. It's a very, it's kind of very poignant, isn't it? That's where this very mass resistance started from. I expect Yorubas to do the same thing to their corrupt politicians. And the Middle Belt the same. Fulani is gone, they have Alamajiri culture. They're a feudal system. They run a feudal system that they are impervious to reason, they can never reason. From now till the kingdom come, Fulani youths can never attack their so-called Rankadede, whatever they call them. But I'm sure Yorubas can. They should also do the same thing. Because the USA you love so much, America and Britain and Germany, they love to go and eat yam in.
Do you hear what Mazinakhan demanded? Do you hear the crime of Mazinakhan? Open Warri Seaport, open Calabar Seaport, open Port Harcourt Seaport, create job, open International Airport, Calabar International Airport. In Enugu also, this is Mazinakhan crime. They went on want to buy him. They prescribe IPOB. But I thank God for Mr. Tony, for the message that Mr. Tony have given to us. Mr. Tony have exposed the truth. Today, will you shamelessly come out again to attack Mazinakhan? You that are from Edo State, you that are from Delta State, you that are from Calabar State, River State, you that are from Bayelsa, you that are from Enugu, Ebonyi, Anambra, Imo, Owole. In fact, all the states in Nigeria. If you are an honest man or honest woman, will you condemn Mazinakhan? Or will you say, "Me Chukwu Okike Abiama, bless this man"? That he meant well for everybody, not only to his tribe, everybody. The Fulani X-Men were there, they did not prescribe. They went on to prescribe the people that are fighting for his people. And up to today, they are still running away from the appeal court in Abuja. They are still running away from appeal court in Abuja because they prescribe. Come, let's judge. Come, they are still running away. Everything in Nigeria is upside down. Let's continue listening to Mr. Tony. It's very important.
Against this domination. And again, remember that they were the minorities led by Joseph Tucker. So there were some recognized pockets of disadvantaged areas. And remember, in the entire North, who were the thieves? They were nothing. And yet they constituted the bulk of the arms-carrying soldiers. It was like an occupation. It's like you say, okay, you learn trade. Your trade is carrying gun. So the thieves were already carrying gun, and they were the people who formed the arms-bearing sector of the army. And now, what happens? So they were also disadvantaged. So you now find that this complaint is on and on and on. And sometimes, even when we talk, do you know there are some ethnic groups whose languages are being destroyed even in the north? They are not being recognized. There are Jukums, there are Bokwai, there are Bachamas, there are Kwois, then there are Gwari people, there are Nupes, there are all sorts of people. So why should one group want to dominate the entire landscape? And in any case, if you want to dominate, please, for heaven's sake, show intelligence. I want to repeat it and use this opportunity to say this loud and clear to the whole world. If you think you are the cleverest person and you ought to rule, for heaven's sake, why don't you behave like the Koreans, the Japanese? Come with one technology. Let's all be admiring that technology. Not this seizing power and being in government and all the money is gone. We're fed up with that. So the country is not just being fair to its own citizens, and therefore restructuring becomes a chant that everybody is carrying on. So it's the disadvantage of one group that has nothing to offer but insists on taking power for power's sake, and everybody is fed up. I am fed up.
Wow. This is amazing. On this note, we are going to end the history of Biafra for today. Thank you so much, Mr. Tony Abolo. I really learned a lot from this, and I hope you did. If you have any question, you can kindly drop it at the comment section below. Thank you so much, sir. We hope to see you again on Nebo TV with more analysis. We want you to analyze Nigeria for us. Let's know the in and out. Like you said, the roots. We don't know the roots. That's our major problem. We're fighting everything from the surface. How it all began, we don't know. And today is an eye-opener. Thank you so much, sir. To come back on Nebo TV. Yes. You will agree with me that it has been a wonderful session, a wonderful time with Mr. Tony Abolo, our #1 veteran broadcaster, media consultant, policy and public analyst. He did a great job in analyzing the history of Biafra. And so many of us now will be thinking like, wow, this is how it all started. Okay, so with this interview, prompt you to actually want to support the secessionist group, or will it prompt you to start thinking of ways we can go about this whole problem in Nigeria without a war, without separation, without divide? Let us come together, let us unify and bring a lasting solution. War isn't the best thing to do, but sometimes we would want to say in drastic situation, in terrible situation, what you think first is fight for your own safety, for your own survival. But let's sit down. We have the opportunity now to sit down, to think, to analyze and bring out a better solution. War is not the best. All right, so please join us in our next edition of History.
So thank you, Mr. Tony, for speaking up the truth, and also thank you, Nepo TV, and also the host, Onome. We thank you guys for bringing this into alignment, for bringing this program to media. Bless you guys. Nepo TV and Onome, we thank you. We appreciate Igbos, Biafrans. We appreciate you guys for this wonderful work, and we can't wait to have Mr. Tony again, for him to give us more history, because history have been taken away from school and most of us don't know. So thank you. It's an eye-opener for this program Nepo TV has just did, and it goes a long way. We thank you guys, and we see expecting more, and we see expecting people like Mr. Tony to come up to speak up. It goes a long way. Now I want to bring a video from our brother from I think from Isoko. I said that he is an able man. No, we want to bring him up. The message he have for those is Igbo data. We want to bring him up.
An Igbo tribe in Delta, but you are claiming that you are not Igbo. Yet you are angry that Urobo person or a job person or a Shakiri person is saying that you migrated to Delta State, that you are an immigrant, and you are angry. May thunder fire you. I'm the one who is saying it. May it fire you well. May your family deny you. May your children also deny your origin. How can you be angry when they are calling you immigrant, but you are the one denying that you are not Igbo? Why wouldn't they call you immigrant? You want to eat your cake and have it back. Yes, I understood the reason why so many people are denying they are not Igbo. There are Igbos in Kogi. There are Igbos in Edo. There are Igbos in Benue. There are Igbos in Bayelsa. There are Igbos in Cross River. There are Igbos in Akwa Ibom. There are Igbos in River State. All these states they are denying they are not Igbo because of Biafra story. I have never seen a Muslim deny that it's not a Muslim because of terrorist group that is inside Muslim. I have never seen a Nigeria deny that it's not Nigeria because they say Nigerians are crook and 419. If you are proud to say you are a Nigerian, despite the fact that the whole world see you as a Yahoo person, why can't you be proud to say you are Igbo man? Even though people are saying that they don't like you to be Biafra. Yes, I'm a proud Igbo man, on Chubo precisely, from Delta State. Proud Igbo man. Even though not all of us are supporting Biafra, even to today, not everybody in Britain are supporting Brit exit from Europe. Not everybody supported it, even to today. But would they say they are not proud English? They are proud Britannians. I'm a proud Igbo man, even though I'm not supporting Biafra. But you are not supporting Biafra doesn't mean that you should deny Igbo. You should have a reason why you are saying you are not. I know that 99% of those who are angry when people say I'm Igbo is because they are thinking everybody is talking about Biafra. And I don't fucking send you. If you like, if you are not comfortable with me saying I'm Igbo and I'm in Delta, you can go and hug Transformer. Kill yourself, I don't care. If you like, start a war. Kill your family for saying that I said that you're Igbo. I don't care. I'm a proud Igbo man. But if you're Igbo, deny your origin because of one small thing that people say that Igbo did in the past, may thunder fire you. May you not be well with you. May your children also deny not to know you. And may your family deny you for any small bad thing where you do. May your family deny you. If you think that Biafra agitation is a bad thing to Nigerian system, may people deny you for that bad thing. For any small bad thing where you do, may people deny you. I'm a proud Igbo man. I don't support separation of Nigeria, but I can't deny being a Nigerian man because you want to call me Biafra. If you like, hug Transformer, I don't fucking care.
Oh, go on there. And you go thumb pop. There, yeah. There, yeah. And yeah. My brother, I say I give you again. You too much. You too much. You don't finish work. May them go hug the Transformer where you tell them. All those people when they claim all those things, when I hear what our brother talk, they go fly go hug Transformer. The guy not scatter the many table where the man. He even let you guys know say Igbo day for River State, day for Calabar, day for Bayelsa, day other places, day for Delta, day for Edo, a lot of places where mentioned. The same way he just see the Bayelsa, he just the Delta State, he just the Ondo State, he just the Edo State, he just the River State, he just the Calabar State. But if we tell you and say he just the Benue, de Kogi, I'm sorry, Igbo de Benue, de Kogi, de Anambra, de Bayelsa, de other places. Now we say we want grand land. Oh boy, I give you a hand again. You try, you too try. Over try, they worry you. If they want here, men they hear. If that their ear block, I think this one way talk so you go open their ear. You too much for what he talk, and what he talk na pure truth. And who no like and make you go jump for you do liver? Who no one hear what he talk, make you go jump for you do liver? Truth must be preached. We are here. Mazman can have opened our eye, and the truth must be preached. On this note, Masun, Onya Fotata, Aya Fuechi, ọ ya dị nwoke mma, ọ ya dị nwaanyị mma, ndụ mmiri atana azụ anwụ na ndụ nwoke ndụ nwaanyị. Iwu ọbụla nke anyị na-achọ anyị ga-enweta ya. Iwu ọbụla nke anyị na-achọ anyị ga-enweta ya. Iwu ọbụla ndị ilo sọsọ ndị ilo mee anwa maara. Iwu ọbụla nke anyị nwa na-achọ anyị ga-enweta ya n'ọsọba n'ọsọba anyị ga-enweta ya n'afọ ndị dị na ndị ana. Ana m asị ka anyị were egwu anụwa wee nalie ọ dịrị anyị mma n'afọ ndị dị na ndị ana. Biko as you come in, share.
Bonendu ọ dịghị ụjọ na-atụ anyị.
Ọma dike bonendu.
O nwere ihe anyị na-achọ.
Anyị enweghị onye ọzọ.
Ma ọ bụghị